So it would appear that Dress Down is on the rise. This is a card that was very popular. When Modern Horizons 2 was spoiled, a lot of people are like, how are we going to use Dress Down? Dress Down is so unique. Oh my god, how do we break this card? And I'm like, I don't know how to break this card. I mean, it's sort of cute, but it's a very temporary ability. How exactly are you going to make use out of it? But do you know what? The stock of Dress Down is going up. It plummeted to absolutely nothing. So if you bought in at like 62 cents, you should be very happy. It's gone to $4 and it is going higher. The stock of Dress Down going up. Oh, by the way, if you don't know what Dress Down does, it's an enchantment for a blue and 1 generic. It has flash, so you can get them at instant speed. When Dress Down enters the battlefield, you draw cards. You have nothing to lose when you play Dress Down. Creatures lose all abilities, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Dress Down. So you do have to sacrifice it at the beginning of, like, basically at the beginning of the end step of your turn, or whatever, your opponent's turn, and it will go away. Why is this moving? And probably Aspiring Spike has a huge influence on it. 13-2 on stream today with the Thing in the Ice Dress Down control deck. The synergy between Thing in the Ice and Dress Down felt powerful, and it felt nice that each card was individually strong. I definitely recommend this deck if you're looking for a strong control deck in Modern at the moment. So here's the deal. I mean, this is... we can look at all the decks that this interacts well with, but it does interact incredibly well with Thing in the Ice, a card that has seen really powerful Modern play in the past, but sort of fell out of favor since basically the Phoenix decks disappeared when Faithless Looting got banned. But the synergy here is if you can get the Dress Down out first, Flash, when Dress Down enters the battle, well, I mean, creatures all lose all abilities, and then you cast your Thing in the Ice, it will come into play with no counters because this thing doesn't have any abilities. Then at end of turn, the Dress Down gets sacrificed, and then all of a sudden the Thing in the Ice says, hey, I don't have any counters. And it says, then if it has no ice counters on it, transform it. And boom! You've got like a 7/8 creature out of nowhere just for 2 mana. Not bad! It's like a super Tarmogoyf. If only Tarmogoyf could always be a 7/8 creature for 2 mana. Not to mention, the card is pretty good by itself, so, I mean, even if you don't have Dress Down out, being able to play a Thing in the Ice and rattle off a few cards and bounce all your opponent's creatures back to hand is still pretty good value. So that is the idea here. But where else does Dress Down show its colors? I think it looks pretty good against a 5-color Elemental deck, because if the opponent tries to go for a 2-for-1, like using Fury or Solitude or anything like that, you just flash in. I don't know why they would actually do this versus a control deck, but in theory, any of the elementals that enter the battlefield will become nothings when you play the Dress Down. When Dress Down hits the battlefield, all the elementals will do nothing until end of turn. Oh no, hold on, maybe this is not working because you get to keep the elemental as well. You don't have to sacrifice it either. Hold on, do you have to sacrifice it? Dress Down goes well with Death Shadow. Well, I mean, yeah, I understand what you mean. I guess it also kills Scourge of the Skyclaves. I mean, I understand if you want to use it in a Death Shadow deck. Yeah, it's like sort of okay, but you're also reasonable to just lose all your life. Don't you have to cast an instant to transform Thing in the Ice? You might actually have to do that. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery, remove, then if it has no instant, no ice count. No, I don't think you do. It's just, whenever you cast an, oh, no, maybe you're right. I don't know, I don't remember anymore. There was like a situation a long time ago where I would Trickster. No, I don't think it does. Oh god, someone help me now. Read Oracle Text. Well, the Oracle Text doesn't do anything. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, remove an ice counter for Thing in the Ice. Then if it has no ice counters on it, transform it. Good morning, Sir Butterballs. You need to cast a spell for it to flip. Because I was in a situation, like I've been in this situation a million times, where they're playing Thing in the Ice. Oh, but I think I cast a Trickster before the last counter hits it. Okay, it's part of the tricks. Okay, it's part of the trigger. I'm all fake news at the moment. I've never actually seen... I'm confusing it with how I use Trickster with it, because I used Merfolk Trickster against Thing in the Ice a million times. But I think it interacts differently. See, Merfolk Trickster also removes all abilities from the card. But I'm using it differently. When the trigger is already on the stack, they're going to remove a counter and they're going to flip it. But then it flips into nothing. Either way, you're gonna, if the Thing in the Ice comes into play with no counters, making it a lot easier to flip into a 7/8 creature. Yeah, it's part of the trigger. Alright, I can see it. It is part of the trigger. I'm sure there's a lot of people correcting me in the comments section right now. Yeah, Judge, you need to cast the spell. Where's our judge's hotline? We need a judge here right now. We need the level 2 by my side. Okay, if I remember, obviously I have not seen Aspiring Spike play this list before, so I've completely screwed up. Now I don't even know how Dress Down works against anything, because if I evoke it in play, now the question is, if I evoke, say, Fury in play, and my opponent plays Dress Down, do I sacrifice the creature still? Because I still use the evoke ability from my hand, but enters the battlefield with nothing. I want to say it still sacrifices, but I don't know for sure. Help me, Coffee Crew. Spike uses Dress Down with Death Shadow after getting down a little bit, uses it to go from a 3/3 to a 13/13 out of nowhere. So it's like sort of an artificial, like, Team Battle Rage. Dress Down stops the triggers, but we still have to sacrifice it, right? Evoke is a sacrifice trigger. How is evoke worded? I think it sacrifices, not the evoke cost. All right, so the evoke cost, so Dress Down will be a beating versus the evoke creatures if we neuter the ability, but they still have to sacrifice the card. I'm just trying to find generic uses for this. I mean, I guess against Stoneblade, you play your Dress Down, and then when Stoneforge Mystic enters the battlefield, it does nothing. I don't see it doing a lot of stuff versus Hammer Time. This doesn't look like the matchup for Dress Down whatsoever. They'll do absolutely nothing here. Except for, okay, again, maybe Stoneforge Mystic slows them down. If Dress Down is in play before the trigger hits the stack, then yeah, the evoke trigger doesn't go on the stack and the creature is not sacrificed. Okay, now we have conflicting information. Dress Down is kind of a stifle. It is a stifle. Okay, hold on. Let's look at what evoke what does evoke mean? Evoke, MTG, mechanic. GP. Dress Down is jank. It will not pass the test of time. False alarm. Okay, evoke is a keyword ability that allows a player to pay an alternative cost for a creature spell that possesses this ability. However, if the evoke cost is paid, the creature is sacrificed when it enters the battlefield. So when does this trigger? It triggers upon being cast, or it triggers when it enters the battlefield? It enters the battlefield and then asks itself if it's evoked. Dress Down would shut down Pure Steel Paladin too for the card draw. I mean, just for one turn though. Then they would go off next turn. Yeah, so it looks like they would keep the evoke creature. Check out all my homework I've done on Dress Down. Absolutely nothing. I just thought it was interesting that this card was starting to get hyped up. Very likely strongly influenced by Aspiring Spike. But it looks like outside of the Thing in the Ice combo, it's got like really niche application outside of that. I mean, you at least get to draw a card, so it's not that bad. Dress Down with Lurrus sounds sick. Why is that? Nikachu, okay? We should call an ambulance in Canada for him. Yes, please do. My title looks funny. Dress down to the moon. Wait, you're not actually undressing and moving on. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, the card is pretty cheap for what it does. It is pretty cheap. Anyway, I think I've butchered this morning segment enough, so we can move on. So anyway, welcome everyone to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic. Get your questions fired up. Let's have a great discussion this morning. And also we do Decklist review. So if you got a 75 you'd like some feedback on, both myself and the Coffee Guru would love to give that feedback. So brew up your cups of coffee. Let's brew up some Magic this morning. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for August 12th, 13th of 2021. I am your host, Nikachu, the Merfolk Master. Good morning. Good morning. Who are we saying good morning to this morning? Good morning, Yvonne. GP, Forma Sussel. Good morning, GP, Wet Willie. Good morning, Fraser. S. Kayakin. Good morning, D. Johnny's. SOS. Good morning, Hoax. Alright, good morning, everyone. I was honestly a bit thrown off. My brain isn't on yet. Apparently not mine either. It's either great against elementals or elementals should play it. No, they don't want to play it because they still want their ETB effect. So you can still neuter the ETB effect, but they still get the creature. So I mean, I guess it's still good versus elementals. They 2-for-1 themselves. They got nothing, but they get to keep the elemental in the end. So it is still good, technically good versus elementals. The dress down card. All right, let's quickly rattle off our sponsors this morning, same as every morning. FusionGamingOnline.com, the deal of the week this week, 15% off all Modern Horizons 2 singles and sealed product. So if you thought you missed out on Dress Down, and it's too much money right now, what is Dress Down here? At FusionGamingOnline.com, in Canadian dollars, we got $5. It's out of stock though, but you can hit the wish list button and they'll be back in stock before you know it. And if 15% off isn't enough for you, don't worry, you can get it down to, you can get an additional 5% off when you use coupon code Nikachu at checkout. Saves yourself money, supports the channel. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online, as the way to play all variations of all Modern decks in Modern at any given point in the Modern format. Hey, you're excited about this new Dress Down deck? You could rent it without being committed to it. If it's just the hot thing of the week, that's okay, because you don't have to buy into it, you just have to rent it with Mana Traders. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 15% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu. Alright, you guys know the drill. 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question helps me find your questions amongst all the comments that I'm getting on my YouTube channels and Facebook fan page, or you can cheat the system with Super Chats. Donate with the Super Chat. Your question gets pushed to the top of my feed. GPGP, a serious question. What the F happened with goblins in Modern? I mean, it was sort of never a thing. I mean, it got a huge boost a few times, but the problem is they could never... The deck is only as good as well, okay, there are some cards that were very strong against it, like Plague Engineer, which have disappeared. So it looks like goblins could make a comeback. They do have problems with removal against their key combo pieces. On the other hand, they are relatively good versus removal. They got a lot of 2-for-1s. You know, the Goblin Matron into another Goblin Matron into another Goblin Matron. So they can grind out decks. They have that ability. But anyway, Goblin's not around here. Where's Cactus of Ishmael? Defending the goblins at the moment. What the hell is the Dress Down deck? What did I miss? Here's Aspiring Spike's basically Dimir control deck using Dress Down and Thing in the Ice together to make a big Thing in the Ice. That is the deal. And Dress Down went from like 60 cents to $4. That is also a thing. Muxus isn't legal in Modern, so no Muxus here. Yeah, where's Jim Davis? Seaman Bow, what if Wizards announces a GP right before the Bloodborne one? and blow them out of the water. You mean the is the Bloodborne the? Is that the what's it called? Flesh and Blood tournament? I can't tell. What event is this? I'm assuming it's the Flesh and Blood event, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm like guessing it's the Flesh and Blood thing. It would be poorly timed because, hey, they just had a secret GP and it brought out like just a handful of people. So I think they gotta wait. I think the Magic players are a bit cautious to go to the paper events in large scale. So I doubt they'll blow them out of the water. They also have like a lot less advertising for it. And they're going heavy. Like Channel Fireball has been announcing all these people that are going to be at this event. And it will be interesting what the turnout will be because the prize fund is only $10,000. That's like nothing compared to what GPs have for a prize fund. Grand Prix have like first place is $10,000, and then there's like an extra, I don't know, 100 or more grand that goes to like all the way down to 64th place. So it's going to be very interesting what the turnout is going to be for an entire prize pool of just $10,000. We're going to see what happens, but they're hyping the event up big time. It looks like Flesh and Blood is going to make a move to like compete with the other trading card games. I am sure this is a huge loss leader for Flesh and Blood. Has anyone ever told you you sound quite like Hikaru Nakamura? No one's told me that. Not ever. I think you just watch too much Hikaru. What would you be most excited to see from Worlds Beyond? From Worlds Beyond? You mean like Universes Beyond? I have nothing. Nothing that I'm thinking about. I mean, you know, there's a lot of talk these days about like there's so many products coming out. I mean, that's like the hot topic at the moment. How do you guys feel? Is there too many products coming out? I mean, even as a Modern player, it feels like there's a little extra for us because there's 4 sets a year, and then there's now Modern Horizons that comes out like once every 2 years. And all the other cards aren't really relevant. If you're a Legacy player, you sort of want to pay attention to what's coming out in Commander because those cards end up being legal. I think what it is you should just... Like, I haven't felt overwhelmed yet. And I'll tell you why. Because I just ignore the rest of this crap. I mean, I've ignored it ever since these Commander pre-con decks came out. I don't care. What do I care about what's in a Commander deck? There's so many cards these days I don't even know existed. Because it doesn't matter to me. Now, if you're a Commander player as well, it's a problem. Now this may become overwhelming. If you're somewhere between a competitive and a casual Magic player, that's a problem. Too much and not enough reprints. Before I always wanted more and more, but now I'm realizing this is too much. So the deal is, Wizards is trying to accommodate everybody. They're accommodating people who want luxury, so they make the secret lairs. They're accommodating the Commander. I mean, and they might move way further dominantly here, but they're trying to accommodate the Commander players big time. Then there's situations where, and then they're trying to accommodate Modern players when they're making their standard sets because they push the power level of the cards significantly. And now they're directly supporting both Modern and Commander with the Modern Horizon set. So there is a lot of stuff, but I only focus on the sets that matter to me. I focus on what gets released in Modern. Kaya says, too many products and I don't keep up with Standard. No reason or way to get excited for anything like I would 10 years ago. And another thing, like a long time ago, especially 10 years ago, we were so patient for powerful cards. Like, what is going to be the next powerful card in the next set? But now we know there's going to be powerful cards. The question is, how many powerful cards and who gets what? Which deck is going to get, or who is not going to get powerful cards in the next set? You know, that's how it is these days. If you try to catch all the stuff coming out, you might be overwhelmed. You will. Absolutely. And if you try to buy it all, it's impossible. Caleb says Wizards needs to stop dumping cards in the market so fast. Barely have time to learn what cards do and recognize them just by name and the power scaling. Yes, well, I mean, I mean, it's whatever. They're trying to accommodate all... The Wizards has realized everyone is fractured off into different groups in Magic. It's not all standard players. It's, in fact, it's a lot of commander players. There's standard players. There's different kinds of commander players. Then, of course, there's modern players. There's pauper players. So they're trying to accommodate everybody. Sam says, even about the commander decks and everything, I ignore those as well, but there are just too many sets as well. I barely got to play Modern Horizons 2, and then the Forgotten Realms came out. Yeah, so for the modern players, we're getting like an extra set every 2 years. I felt the same way when War of the Spark came out, then Modern Horizons came out, and then before we knew it, Throne of Eldraine came out right after that, right? Whew, powerful times, powerful times. That was crazy. Those were crazy times. Then Ikoria came out pretty shortly after that. We just like, we were like, the power level of Modern was pretty strong, but then it just went, so it went right off the charts. Where does Standard fit in all this accommodation? It feels like it has lost its initial purpose, being an entry point to new players with the increase, increase in card prices. Just go straight to Modern. No, that's not entirely true, because you can still build... If you go to a standard event, you'll find people playing budget decks. Like, if there was a standard event tomorrow, like F&M, or tonight, I should say, if there was a standard F&M and you go to it, you would see people playing with $35 decks, $50 decks. Like, it's a cheap... When push comes to shove, if you're willing to not play with the most powerful cards, you can make a budget standard deck, and you're going to end up playing against other people who play budget standard decks. Standard is pretty casual, and that's why I once made the argument Standard should be a casual format. It shouldn't have any focus on the Pro Tour. Like, pros shouldn't break this format so that there won't be any busted net decks in Standard, which it's easy to break. Usually there's only about like three to four playable competitive playable decks in Standard. And when you go to a big tournament, it's just everyone's playing the same damn thing. And if you took that away, forced the pros to only play Historic, Pioneer, Modern as the format, these are like the pro formats, then Standard could be a more casual format. The cost would be cheaper, people would have more fun because there's no net, there'd be a lot less net decking going on. And it would be even a more welcoming funnel for those players to get into competitive Magic. I also like the idea of Standard becoming a casual format. When does the Denmark event start, and will it be streamed? I have no idea what those events are. Sorry. Oh, Schecter7 with the super chat. Thoughts on Chandra Awakened Inferno? Had success with her in Jeskai Control and Pioneer. A playable Planeswalker. This card has seen play in Pioneer before. It's a pretty good bomb. Like, it's very good against, well, it's good against a lot of decks. So it's 6 mana, which seems a little expensive, but it can't be countered. It's at the very least could be a board wipe. Deals 3 damage to each non-elemental creature. It's funny enough, this card is very bad versus Master of Waves. Each opponent, you can also go +2. Each opponent gets an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 1 damage to you. So it's reasonable against control decks too, because you'll take it up, you'll probably take it up again, and then the clock is on. And then of course you have -X, you can deal X damage to target creature or player. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die, you exile it instead. So it's a very good card. Yeah, Arena Standard is where you can start as well. What deck cheats out Vorpal Sword for the win? None. I've never heard of this card. I'll look it up, but... What the hell? Oh, well, this is a new card, so if there's a way to cheat this, maybe. +2 and has Death Touch. Until end of turn, Vorpal Sword gains... Oh, well, the problem is cheating this activated ability. This is impossible. I don't know any way that can cheat this thing. Nikachu, is Modern open for burn in Mono Red Prowess? Mono Red Prowess is still kicking. It's still a strong deck. Burn is like around, but it's not one of the best decks, that's for sure. I think there's enough counter magic and life gain that it has problems. kind of impressive that Modern Horizons 2 had so many OP cards but managed to not completely break the format, yet at least. Well, I mean, it did though, didn't it? I mean, it's broken in a different way because all the decks here replaced. Like, I defended that Modern is not a rotating format for the longest time. But I look at, like, these top 8 decks and a little bit further, and it's completely different. I mean, looks like Modern just, like, rotated. I mean, maybe we had a little bit of mill. What is this? This is the, I don't even know what this deck is. Oh, I guess it's just a Jeskai control deck. But these top 8 decks are so different from, like, the decks that we've seen for a very long time. They're, like, really mutated. They're either, like, Living End and mutated from the old Living End that we knew, or just a completely new deck. So anyway, I would say it did break Modern. It's balanced, that's all. It broke Modern, but it's still very balanced. The problem is pros love Standard since the card pool is lower, then can better prepare like 1 week of testing. Are you good to go? I think pros love Standard because there's just so many people that are not willing to net deck. So so it's a very comfortable format for them. They just net deck the best deck, and they know they'll play against people who play tier 2 or tier 4 decks, and they get like a lot of easy wins. That's why I think if the pros love Standard, that's the reason. That's why they've hated Moderns for so long, because they can't so easily just pick up the best deck. Even if they play the best deck, they could still get crushed by people who know their deck better and have more experience in the format. Commander even has net decking. Some people aren't about brewing. Net decking is like the shortest route to having a good deck. I mean, if you're not good at deck building, then there's no reason to not net deck. Any thoughts on Joda as a commander? I mean, I don't know what this card does, but I'm assuming like everything can be a commander. There's like nothing that can't be a commander in Commander. Flying, you may pay 5 rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. It definitely is playable. There's only 4 mana. Get out some mana rocks. Things good to go. Genesis, can we use Super Chat for Decklist review? And is there anything for Merfolk you'd like to see run again? You cannot use Super Chat for Decklist review. Sorry. I know people have done it before, but I'm like, I'm sorry. It's not pay to win for Decklist review. Although there obviously is a demand, but I can only get through like 2 decklist. Like the problem is, if I get 5 people paying me for Decklist review, I can only do like 2 deck lists a day. I just don't have the time to go through millions of deck lists. So I don't want to feel bad. Maybe one day I'll have some way to make a paid deck list review. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, you're not too late, Mikey J. You're on time. It's all good. If Mono Green Tron would drop Big Daddy Karn, what would replace it in its place? I have no idea. I know I've made the suggestion, and it's a bold suggestion. Maybe I'm wrong. What else could we put in this deck? I don't know. I don't know what I want to do for 7 mana. I just know I want to do something else. Maybe more Wormcoil engines? I'm not sure. Like Wormcoil engine seems pretty reasonable in the format, isn't it? With its almighty lifelink and its death trigger. But I don't know. Trevor I'm actually happy with Modern Horizons 2. Most of these decks were around. They just all got new toys. Sort of. Like, I don't know about this statement. Okay, so Hammer Time was around before. Is It Tempo was not. This was not a deck. This is a brand new deck in the metagame. Now, you can sort of argue that 5-color Elementals was a deck, but this is a completely different 5-color Elementals from the past 5-color Elementals. Like, it's a completely different gutted deck. It just operates on a different angle, in my opinion. I really don't want to say that this has, like, been upgraded. It's just a very different elemental deck. Crashing Footfalls never existed. This is a completely new deck. This Crashing Footfalls Shardless Agent thing with Brazen Bar and Bogan Crusher Giant never happened before. You could say the Lurrus deck was sort of around. There was these black-red Lurrus decks. But really, they played with the prowess creatures, not these creatures. So it was very, very different. I want to say that this is a very new deck. What else? Living End. Blue Living End was around. So this got upgraded. You could say that. This got upgraded. So Blue Living End was around before Modern Horizons 1. Indomitable Creativity. This did not exist before, but I don't think... Or maybe this deck sort of did... What pushed this deck over the top? Prismatic Ending? Hard Evidence? This was like sort of a really jank deck before. It only existed in like jankness. And then this new Orzhov Stoneblade deck with the Reanimator package is completely different. It's more like a control deck that's just randomly jamming Stoneforge Mystic than anything else. What card would need to be printed to make Electro Balance playable? So disappointed Modern Horizons 2 had no good cards for us. Maybe it's playable right now. Just maybe it needs to go Jeskai, and then you could use Prismatic Ending in order to like exile the cards that hurt your combo, like Chalice of the Void. So maybe that's an option. Was trying 16 land Elf Ball deck and was mana screwed sometimes, but when it worked, it was crazy. So question, if I go to 17 land, will it make a big difference, or should I stay at 16 land and mull? I mean, that's going to come down to play testing for you. Try 17 and see if it changes much. 16 sounds about fine for... Well, the problem with 16, I guess... The problem with elves in general is just the sheer amount of removal. So you have a 16 lander, you play a creature, they kill it. And then at some point, you're just playing a mana dork per turn because you don't have anything else to do, because you don't have any extra mana. And then they keep removing it while playing a creature at the same time, and they're just getting more ahead on board. Blitz 100% was around before Modern Horizons 2. Yeah, it was. I play Angel Token Tron. Any tips for the modern meta for Tron? Angel Token? What, like you play with like, what's it called? The, Entreat the Angels? Is this what you're running? This is the only thing I can guess. And then you're like, you're trying to support white, and then you miracle this thing, and then you pay like 1,000,000 mana. Angel Token Tron. Any tips for the modern meta for Tron? I don't know. Play Karn the Great Creator for the moments that you don't actually have Tron online. I don't know what your list looks like. I'm sorry. Adrian said, would you say that if there's a Modern Horizons 3, it would be like soft rotation in Modern? And if you agree, how do you feel about it? It might be soft rotation, because it wasn't really a rotation in Modern Horizons 1, except for the fact that like Hogak was the best deck in the format and wiped everything out. But then when it got banned, things started to resemble what the old Modern looked like. I have no problems with it. Look, I don't believe in this crap that like the best decks today should be the best decks forever. People are just pissed because the deck that used to be number one, used to be the best, is no longer the best anymore, and that should happen naturally anyway. And if it's going to get forced by Modern Horizons, then so be it. Your objective is to adapt to the meta. If you just want to buy into the best deck, well, I am sorry. There is no format for you except for maybe standard, and then of course eventually your deck is going to rotate anyway. So I don't believe that should be the case for Modern either. The saltiest people are the people who they played the best deck, and then all of a sudden it's gone because other powerful cards came through, and now there's another best deck, and you are not the best deck anymore. That's the way I look at it. Jacob Grimes just wanted to say a Merfolk combo deck you built a few years ago was upgraded recently, and I have 3 5-0s with it. Holy crap, I'd like to see you play some combo. How was it upgraded? What was the new card? And I had 2 Merfolk combo decks. I'm curious. Anyway, thanks for the super chat, Jacob. 3 5-0s. We've got Barnabas says, my deck was never in rotation. Yeah, if you want stability, just build Blue Red Delver and Legacy. So you're in favor of Modern rotating like it did with Modern? The thing is, nothing rotates. Rotation means your deck is literally dead. You cannot play with the cards. In Modern, you can play with the cards. You can play the deck. But you have to change your deck to compete with what's going on in the new metagame. You have to adapt. You have to change. You don't want to do that? Sure. Your deck becomes tier 3 and useless. But that's on you. That's not on the deck. That's not necessarily on the deck. And I'm sure there are some situations where the metagame is so hostile to certain archetypes. Well, I mean, in terms of soft rotation, I don't mind the decks changing places. That's what I'm saying. I think this is totally fine. Look, even Tron is still around. Looked like it was going to die for a second. Okay, the combo upgrade, Paradise Mantle Fetch with Saga. Okay. Prismatic Vista. Why Prismatic Vista, though? Protection, using Unsettled Mariner and Svelun, and some others I can't think of. Okay, so the Svelun actually might be good. I'm not in love with well, maybe Unsettled Mariner and Svelun are good. And some others I can't think of. Okay. I like this idea. I'm going to keep this in mind. I should write it down. Upgrade. We're going to upgrade, what's it called? Splinterfin. Urza's Saga, Mariner. You got 3 5-0s online? Are any of your lists published? And Svelun. Svelun makes a lot of sense. Because with Svelun, you can actually protect your creature. So I like that a lot. Colin says, hey, Nikachu got my first 3-0 at a local tournament with Bant Spirits yesterday. Thanks for all the content in how to tackle the metagame. You're welcome, Colin. Keep grinding those 3-0s. And keep representing Spirits. We need more people like you. So what is up with Dress Down? Spiked in price. Sort of. It went from like 60 cents to $4. Probably largely in place because of Aspiring Spike. And it's combo with Thing in the Ice. Okay, Dragon Maxim, what do you think about the new idea that came up in last days to cast Neoform onto Sorner's Companion / Thought Monitor to bring out Craterhoof for game in Affinity? What is a Sojourner's Companion? Oh, interesting. So this is 7 mana, affinity for artifacts. That is a very interesting idea, because this is actually very playable, and so is the Thought. We know Thought Monitor is really easy. Oh, hold on, but we need to play... Yeah, Thought Monitor is 7 mana. So if anyone doesn't know what Neoform is... yeah, it's Neoform. Neoform is this blue-green sorcery. You have to sack a creature, then you can look through your library for a creature card with converted mana cost 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana cost. So we're going to sacrifice those 7 mana spells to go get a Craterhoof Behemoth. Enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. I think this is a good idea. I think this is really neat. I don't think this is crazy. How did it do? Jim Davis streamed that deck. How did it do? It doesn't sound like garbage, because like these are playable cards anyway, and also Affinity plays with a lot of creatures, so you just blurt a bunch of creatures on the battlefield. Then when you have the mana, you Neoform, you hit the Crater Hoof, and I'm sure you smash your opponent for like 30 damage. Saw Saffron Olive play the deck the other day, and it looked good. Could use drums for green mana if you have enough creatures on the battlefield, which if you're going to win, you'd have... Yeah, that's true. Jim Davis used it and it performed well. Saffron also played it. Anyway, it's that's probably why they both played it. It's not crap. Like, this is a reasonable idea, because these are both playable cards. You know you're going to be able to cast both of them, and they're also good cards by themselves. Just a random 4/4 creature for like 1 to 2 mana is good, and then of course Thought Monitor for 1 mana, draw 2 cards, flying is also really good. And then being able to like Neoform tutor for your Crater Hoof Behemoth is fantastic. So yeah, I like the idea. Probably the deck needs to be polished off, but I think it's a good idea. He went 5-0. Really? iFig with the super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, iFig. Be honest, is the GTA really too much for Modern? Most of the time, I'm stuck with equipment in my hand, and it provides no protection and dies to Prismatic Ending. I mean, it depends who you ask. 95% of the people out there, they want GTA banned. They think it's too strong or whatever. I don't think so. I actually think Umezawa's GTA is very overrated, incredibly overrated. What it does is, like, everything people argue, like all the takes people have on Umezawa's GTA, they're like, oh, it's oppressive to creature decks and it's too much value, blah blah blah. I actually think they already have an Umezawa's GTA, and it's called Sword of Fire and Ice, where it draws them a card and also deals damage to the creatures anyway every single turn. So I actually don't see a huge difference between this and Sword of Fire and Ice. Would it upgrade? Sure, it might do that. But outside of that, this is a very... equipment are very, very clunky. We are at a point in Modern where if you play an equipment, you equipped it to a creature, it attacks, it deals damage to the opponent, it's over. Alright, it's just over. GTA barely sees play in Legacy anymore. GTA is a card that appears weak but quickly takes over a game quickly. All the equipment do that! Like, they all do that already! If you are not interacting with your opponent whatsoever, you're dead. You're just dead. This is no different. I would argue that I'm more fearful of Sword of Fire and Ice because my opponent gets so much more card advantage out of it. Not in Modern. Not in Modern, Quiet Board. It's very different. These -1/-1 counters, they're not going to have nearly as many targets. I know a lot of people, it has more targets in Legacy because, you know, of Delver of Secrets dominates that format. But, like, your -1/-1 counters are going to have a lot less targets in Modern. Kills Ragavan easily, so that makes it A-okay by me to unban. Well, GTA is way better than Embercleave. Embercleave is just way too expensive. Your point about people misevaluating cards based on their performance in Standard is a great one. Now, well, GTA is a little different because this has seen play in Legacy before, but this is not nearly the card it once was in Legacy. Like, this is a far more underpowered card now. And again, if you equip anything in Legacy and attack and you're dealing damage, the game is over. If you're not interacting with your opponent, also keep in mind, there's way more removal in Modern. Like, there's an outrageous amount of removal in Modern. So if you're taking the time to put the GTA in play, to equip it to a creature, and your creature dies, that could be it for you. You're dead. It's game over. You sucked up an entire turn trying to equip this damn thing, and you're not going to come back from that. So... well, yeah, GTA shows its true power on True Name Nemesis, and we have no True Name Nemesis in Modern. The Merfolk player thinks the Fire and Ice is the better equipment. Shocker. I think it's just a more versatile equipment. I could tell you that I am far... I can block the damn thing, by the way. I've got Mutavaults, so I can still block the creature with Sword of Fire and Ice. But the point is, when it connects, then I'm really dead, because my opponent is drawing cards at the same time. Like, I don't care if this GT gets counters. It's not very important to me. It can have all the counters it wants. But the problem is, when my opponent's drawing cards while killing my creatures, I can't come back from that. That's a problem. Like, it connects. It gets two counters. Great. Kill one of my creatures, but that's it. Yeah, GT has the Jace the Mind Sculptor Boogeyman status. This card is, if you were to say it's better than Sword of Fire and Ice, it's a smidge better. It's really just a smidge better. It is not nearly as strong as a lot of people think it is. But what I'm saying, I understand that GT doesn't need to connect to the face, but I'm saying is if you are connecting to the face, you're completely dead. I could block and destroy my own creature if I wanted to. I know I won't do that. Do you think it suppresses tribal decks too much? No! Because tribal decks are already in a lot of trouble. GT doesn't change that fact whatsoever. There are too many cards. There's like 20 cards that suppress tribal decks right now in Modern. There's so many cards. This doesn't change anything. This changes absolutely nothing. Tribal decks are hurting badly for like a million different reasons. Throwing GT on it is not going to change anything. I'm going to remind anyone who defending GT, you listen to me, you listen clearly, you GT defenders, or so not defenders, haters. People like you kept Stoneforge Mystic on the ban list for too long. People like you said you can't unban Bloodbraid Elf because it would be too powerful. If you unban Bloodbraid Elf, you gotta balance it out with Jace the Mind Sculptor, and you can't unban Jace the Mind Sculptor unless you unban Bloodbraid Elf. People like you said if you unban Bitter Blossom, Fairies is gonna make a huge comeback, and it's gonna dominate the meta, and you don't want to know how Fairy... Oh man, you don't want to hear. You don't want to experience what it's like to lose to Fairies, because it is just awful. You never have a turn. They're tapping down all your lands. Like, please. These cards are not the same in Modern. And remember, this is a super heavy removal-based format. There's removal spells all over the damn place. Good luck with your GT. Like, good luck. The number one things people get with Stoneforge Mystic are not things like Sword of Fire and Ice. They're getting Batterskull. They're getting Culture Complete, because they're getting at least a creature attached to the damn thing. And at least if you use your removal, it was like sort of card advantage for them to go get the damn thing. iFig. Stoneblade players just hate Bloodbraid Elf into K-Command. I mean, that is insane value there too. There's so much artifact removal. Just an insane amount of artifact removal. Nikachu, ever thought of playing Fairies in Modern? I have once. I had a blue-red Fairies list, and I almost went 5-0 with it. Played Kiki Jiki to combo with Pestermite. I will give GT, but I want Glimpse. Yeah, what time is it? Alright, it's time. You're right, it's time. It's time, people, for Decklist review. Alright, let's get into Decklist review, people. So if you got a 75 you'd like some feedback on, you can submit it to us by going into my description. And in my description, there is a link to my Discord. And then if you join my Discord, there is a channel called Decklist Review. And in Decklist Review, enter the command !review deck space, give the URL to your deck list, and you'll be eligible at random for Decklist Review. Sweet and salty Minx, I think people lose sight of how much power creep there's been sometimes. Cards that used to be broken are now just like good or great. No, they're good or worse. I would say less than half the cards taken off the ban list were broken. Like, I don't even think Bloodbraid Elf is broken today. Bloodbraid Elf is just another card. Like, it's fine, but it's not good. Like, it's definitely not ban worthy. It's not even close. Let's go Mental Misstep to kill the Ragavan decks. I would love it, but you know, I'd love it, but probably it's a bad idea. Oh, is today the Friday the 13th? It is. It's a rare Friday the 13th. Someone should admit a Triskadraphobia deck for Friday the 13th. Is Deathrite Shaman also unbannable, given we have Ragavan, which is on a similar power level? No, I actually don't think it's... Okay, here's my take on Deathrite Shaman. I think Deathrite Shaman is nice and cute and fun and is a benefit to a format when people don't know what the best Deathrite Shaman deck is. So people are just doodling around. They're playing a lot of stuff. Some people are playing Deathrite Shaman here, and I think it can help defeat graveyard decks when graveyard decks are very strong. But the problem is when the best Deathrite Shaman deck comes up, then no one plays any other Deathrite Shaman deck. They're only focused on that one Deathrite Shaman deck, and it usually takes over the meta. So in the end, you end up having to ban Deathrite Shaman. But I would love to see a Modern where we're unbanning Deathrite Shaman or unbanning certain cards from the Modern ban list and telling people we're banning this again in like 4 months when the new set comes out. But until then, play with Deathrite Shaman and enjoy. I think we should do stuff like that. I think that would be a cool thing for Modern. They unban some cards with the clause that they're definitely rebanning it, so just enjoy it while it lasts. Modern before Modern Horizons 2, post Uro ban was, in my opinion, the best power level it's been in a while. Did Mental Misstep always end up countering other Mental Missteps? Yes, because everyone played Mental Misstep. Basically, every single deck had to play 4. Deathrite Shaman is a Planeswalker on a stick. It's got 3 abilities and everything. Art asks, hey Nikachu, have you considered a collab with any other MTG content creators, Masters of Modern, Pleasant Kenobi? I'm open to collaboration. I usually don't reach out to too many people, but I mean, hey, if they want to contact me, I'm all for it. Actually, Kenobi did contact me once. He's like, do you know Commander? And I'm like, well, not really. I sort of know the rules. And then, well, I don't know, that was the end of our discussion. That was funny. Do you know Commander? Sort of. But not really, because he does those Commander collabs, you know? Renru Soti, congratulations, you're the next contestant on Decklist Review. Alright, Human Knights Pioneer. I like the sound of that. I think there should be a Modern Knights deck. Dauntless Bodyguard, fantastic creature, 1 mana, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, you choose another creature you control. You can sacrifice it to give that creature indestructible until end of turn. Fervent Champion is fine. First strike, haste. Whenever Fervent Champion attacks another target attacking knight you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And abilities, you activate that target Fervent Champion costs 3 less to activate. I have a feeling you do. Oh, you do have Emberclave. Okay, Venerable Knight. When it dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target knight you control. It's also very good. Inspiring Veteran, very strong. Lord. Knight of the White Orchid. I think this is one of the weaker knights, but whatever. It's a knight. Thala's Lieutenant is great because everything is a human. Worthy Knight. Whenever you cast a knight spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Very strong card. Very strong creature base. Very strong. And we got Declaration in Stone as your removal spell. A Boros Charm to give your creatures, target creature double strike, but you can also protect them with Indestructible. You have Embercleave, which I think is going to be very reasonable in this deck. With 27 creatures, I think you can get a bunch of creatures out and you'll be good. And you have History of Benalia. I don't know about this one. I guess it's okay. Somehow I would like to live without it, but I mean, it is a Lord still. Knights you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Then we got 22 lands, Battlefield Forge, Inspiring Vantage, 3 mountains, the Neil Leverage Pathway, 3 planes, 4 Sacred Foundry, sideboard, 2 Boros Charm, 1 Declaration in Stone, 4 Rip Apart. Fiend Slayer Paladin. Can't be the target of black or red spells your opponents control. Okay, that's a bit different than pro-red, pro-black. Light Up the Stage. This one I don't understand. And Settle the Wreckage, which I also not sure if I like this one, because you can't play at instant speed. You're going to be tapping out very often, so I don't know if I like these two. First off, I don't even know what you're running Light Up the Stage for. There's got to be a better card for card advantage in this deck. Maybe there isn't. Remember, this is a Pioneer deck list. Could you imagine top legal with that Lantern? I don't think it would. I don't think that would be that big of a deal. Sensei's Divining Top, because you want to manipulate your opponent's deck, not your own. Oh, you didn't know what to throw in? Okay, well, can we name something? I mean, you could have. We can't have more Boros Charm. I see you're running out of options. What are you losing to? Have you played anything Renew plays? I mean, right out of the gates, your deck is solid. It's really strong. I like the numbers. I like everything. So the only problem is these 4 cards in the sideboard. Showdown of the Skalds. Exile the top 4 cards of your library until next turn. I really don't like this card. Well, I guess for card advantage, I guess it's fine. When you cast a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. I guess this is fine. But it still doesn't feel like a sideboard card. If top was unbanned, counterbalance would see play, 100%. I don't know if it would still be a good deck, but it would see play. Top is partially banned, though, because it like, soaks up too much time to play. We already have Rip Apart here. I don't like Settle the Wreckage because this type of deck is going to tap out over and over and over again, so you're never going to have the mana up for Settle the Wreckage. This is Pioneer. I don't think either of these cards are legal. Oh, maybe 4 mana Chandra. Maybe. I don't know exactly where you want this, but I mean, this is a solid card. This is a solid card. And maybe a Gideon. Yeah, and you know what? This would be good versus control. Could be good. It could be good versus control creature-based decks. I actually like this. This is not too bad. Chain to the Rocks is actually, well, hold on. Let's see how many rocks we have in the deck. Not a rock. Not a rock. Rock. Not a rock. Not a rock. We probably don't have enough rocks for Chain to the Rocks. But actually, I like these 2 ideas. We got Chandra, Torch of Defiance, and you can choose a Gideon. Gideon. Which one? Probably Gideon Ally Zendikar. And with 22 lands, I think it's very reasonable that you can get this thing out. And this has synergy with your deck, because it's a Lord. It can be a Lord if you want to sack it. Yeah, not too many mountains. Okay, I think this is good. How is Basri for this deck? Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature, gains indestructible until end of turn. Whenever 1 or more Dawn token creatures attack this turn, create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. I think this is a bit too weak. I don't like the -2, and getting to the 6 is impossible. So actually, I'm not very impressed with this card. It's a lot of work to get very little value. So anyway, so you could replace Light Up the Stage and Settle the Wreckage with the Planeswalkers, both Gideon Ally of Zendikar and Chandra Torch of Defiance. Those are very good replacements. The rest of the deck is great. I think you have a great curve. You have a very good curve. I think you have a good solid creature base, and you have got, you know, offense and defense. It's actually a very balanced deck. I hope 3 Embercleave isn't too much. If you ever find it's too much, maybe go down to 2. I don't know if this is really mandatory because you don't have that many huge creatures that need like the Trample and Double Strike, but I mean, it's a reasonable card. So if this ends up being too clunky, just add another, like, I don't know, Boros Charm or another Worthy Knight to the deck or something. Thanks for submitting the list. Isn't Lightning Helix legal? I want to say no. Nope. Pioneer, not legal. Lightning Helix is an old card. It's an oldie but a goldie. Very old card. Joteka. Alright, also known as Pel707. Congratulations, you're the next contestant on Decklist Review. Okay, we got Red Black Turbo Persist in Modern. Turbo. We got to get that reanimating going on today. We don't have time to waste. We got an Insolent Neonate, Merchant of the Veil, Stinkweed Imp, Street Wraith, Gurmag Angler, Pathrazer of Ulamog, 9/9 Annihilator 3, can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. All right. That is not the win condition I was thinking of. Is this a budget, like, online deck or something? Bone Shards, Lightning Axe, maximize velocity. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Is that necessary? It, like, has no synergy with this deck. You want to give your Pathrazer haste? Okay, Mausoleum Secrets, 2 mana, Ungrowth. Search your library for a black card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Persist, Thrill of the Possibility. As initial cost to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. Lightstep Pathway. So your win condition is... Okay, is there any notes? Okay, the plan. Turn 2, Persist, targeting Pathrazer of Ulamog. Or turn 3 with Maximize Velocity. Insolent Neonate, all this stuff to quickly cycle through the deck and find Persist, Stinkweed Imp. For Dredge. Sideboard work in progress. I love ideas, thanks. Stinkweed Imp for Dredge effects to consistently bin Pathrazer. There's better ways of doing this than one Dredger. Gurmag Angler is a backup plan, along with Mausoleum Secrets to help find Persist. Okay, yeah, 4 Persist are not enough. Okay, what's the new, what is the new... Where'd my Scryfall go? I dumped my Scryfall. Okay, what's the new tutor? Profane Tutor, I think it was? You need Profane Tutor in your deck. So you won't always combo off immediately, but you can play but was it Unmarked? I think with this, well, maybe Profane Tutor is a bit slow. Call on Unmarked Grave. Search your library for a non-legendary card, put that card in your graveyard, then shuffle. And it's also reasonably costed. This is only like $3. So there's a lot of... Okay, if you want to do this as quickly as possible, what are we going to do? What is... Consistently bin Pathrazer and maximize velocity? Yeah, you shouldn't use maximize velocity, though. Okay, we definitely want to have Unmarked Grave in this deck. Search your library for a non-legendary card, put that card in your graveyard, then shuffle your library. So you're definitely going to want this over... Thrill of Possibility is fine. Persist is good. You're going to want this over, I think, Mausoleum Secrets and Maximize Velocity. Or even have it over Stinkweed Imp. Because this is just bad. Because you need to put this in your graveyard first, and then you start dredging. But this would just immediately put the creature in the graveyard. The better thing is the tutor. Bloodcleave Cliff's better than Pathways? Yes. Much better. Actually, maybe not. I don't know what's better. Because the Cliffs will come into play tapped on turn 4. And this type of deck might want 4 mana by turn 4. To, like, play Unmarked Grave, then play Persist on the same turn. You know what I mean? So what else do we want for speed? I don't know if Gurmag Angler has anything to do with the speed of this deck. Although you will get a lot of cards in the graveyard. I don't really believe in maximized velocity. I think you're better off just putting a big haste creature in the graveyard or something. I feel like this is an upgraded Pauper deck or something. Well, we have a lot of ways of discarding between Bone Shards and Lightning Axe. I mean, our opponent does need to have a creature, though. And we have, like, Insolent Neonate and Merchant of the Veil. We're going to discard cards no matter what. So I don't think Cookbook is necessary. The Delvon Angler feels like it works against the reanimate plan. I think it's gonna be okay. I mean, you don't need to have this, because the only card you need to have in your graveyard is the creature you reanimate, so you just leave that there. Like, how many times have I played against Grixis Shadow and Gurmag Angler, like, ate up all the cards except, like, the 1 or 2 instants or sorceries that are the most important? Animate Dead is not legal. We're not talking about the... Yeah, I know. Pathrazor is a bit silly. I mean, what is the new hotness? The one that's like the Uro and Kroxa combined in one. It's like Archon of Cruelty, I think. Yeah, this is like the new hot reanimation target. It's a 6/6 flyer. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card and loses 3 life, and you draw a card and gain 3 life. Like, this is the target right now. So you gotta have at least 2 copies of this instead of Pathrazor of Ulamog. The cruelty of it all. Oh, what a world. Sarah's Emissary. Okay, let's see. Because you only need, if we're Sarah's Emissary. There's also this one. 7 mana, enters the battlefield, choose a card type. You and creatures you control have protection from the chosen card type. So, against a creature-based deck, creatures cannot deal any damage to you if you name creature, and you, like, your creatures can, well, I mean, you don't need to block because you just don't take any damage. So that's also, you should have some Sarah's Emissary and Archon of Cruelty in place of some of the Pathrazor of Ulamogs. So Stinkweed Imp, instead of this, play the Unmarked Grave. Okay, whatever. You wanna, the whole idea is this is supposed to be some sort of turbo deck, so you can keep maximize velocity. If anything, you should have another one. Get rid of the Mausoleum Secrets, because this is less, I just don't like this card. And add another maximize velocity to maximize your win condition. So you have persist. I think you need this card though, the Profane Tutor, so that you make everything really consistent. Like, your combo might not happen until turn 4, but like when it happens, it can still happen, and you should probably remove. I don't know if it's the real possibility that I want to lose. You gotta throw away something, and then you make everything really consistent. Bruno says, dude, I don't even play Magic, but love watching the videos and the amount of knowledge you got. Thank you very much, Bruno. Maybe one day we'll be talking about Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all those other card games. Well, this Iona is legendary? Sorry, Sarah's Emissary. No, Sarah's Emissary is not legendary. Oh, but maybe you were saying about Iona. Yeah, Iona itself is legendary. I don't think Grim Tutor works. Yeah, it's too much mana. I don't like this. I think it's better that you spend 2 mana. There's Profane Tutor. I think it's just better you spend 2 mana and then ignore it, because then when it comes off suspend, it's free. So add Profane Tutor instead of... You know what? Screw your Street Wraith. Like, this, there's no point to this card. Just get rid of Street Wraith, and I'll get behind the Gurmag Angler. You can keep Gurmag Angler because it could give you a random plan B. I mean, okay, if you want the plan B, keep Gurmag Angler. If you want, like, pure consistency, keep the Street Wraith, get rid of the Gurmag Angler, and play Profane Tutor. And then you'll make your deck pretty consistent. Pretty consistent. Maybe Lightning Axe in the sideboard could be dead in some... well, it's going to be dead in some matchups, but if it's dead, then you just side it out. Why aren't we reanimating Agent of Treachery? Well, that's like a bit of a win more thing. Sideboard for Inquisition, Nihil Spellbomb, Feed the Swarm, Lithoform Blight. Land has... I don't know what the hell this card is for. Land loses all land types and abilities and has add a mana and pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color. This seems like garbage. Unless, what are, oh, maybe you're doing this for the Urza's Saga decks, but I don't think you care. Shenanigans is good, and Cry of the Canarium is good. I think you should replace this with something else. Anyway, but I think we gave you gotta make it more consistent, right? You need Unmarked Grave, that's a new card, and I think you need to use Profane Tutor. These two cards have to be in your deck. They were made for your deck. Like, they printed these cards directly for you. That was the point of this. And there are better threats than Pathrazer of Ulamog. Pathrazer is not even that impressive. Win more means you would have won anyway with another card. Like, Agent of Treachery is overkill only in a very specific situation, but really if you played Archon of Cruelty it would have worked. And Archon of Cruelty is better in a wider variety of situations. Why not play Faithless Salvaging? I guess you could play Faithless Salvaging instead of Thrill of Possibility. What is Faithless Salvaging? Hold on, let's see. Maybe it's not good. Discard a card, then draw a card, rebound. You know what? Discard a card, draw 2 cards. Discard a card, draw a card, rebound. It's the same thing. And they're both instant speed. There's no cost to cast this spell. Discard a card. No, you discard only 1 card here. Draw 2 cards. Here you discard 2 cards. Discard a card, then draw a card. I'm not too sure which one's better. Maybe this one's better. But you only need to discard 1 card. You don't need to discard more than... No, this thing makes you discard 2 cards too. No. This thing makes you discard 1 card. This card makes you discard 2 cards. But in this deck, I think you only need to discard, like, very few. This is not a Phoenix deck, people. But I don't know. Maybe Thrill of... I don't know which one's better, to be honest. Faithless Salvaging or Thrill of Possibility. That's going to come down to play testing. What about Hand of Emrakul or Ulamog's Crusher for Annihilate? Like, the Annihilator thing is just win more. Like, just play a flying... Just play something that gets so much value. I mean, this is also basically Annihilator, because the opponent has to sacrifice a creature. And discard a card and lose 3 life. And it has flying, so you can't even interact with this thing. You can't even block it. Or it's a lot harder to block. No, Asmarano definitely has no business in this deck. This is a combo deck, not a mid-range grindy deck. Anyway, that is going to be it for today. I think that was a very interesting deck list. I hope that was a lot of good feedback and that helps your deck. So if you want to see the replay to Coffee and MTG, go check it out at Nikachu MTG Streams. My alternate YouTube channel. If I didn't get your comments, questions, or deck list, hey, we do this Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Oh, also, by the way, the deck list queue gets empty on Friday, so it gets you have to resubmit after today's show. Everything gets I clear it once a week. If you love to support the channel and you're not doing so already, you could drop a sub at twitch.tv/NikachuMTG. You can become a patron at patreon.com/NikachuMTG, or you can hit the join button on YouTube. So thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. I think we had a good conversation. It had a bit of a rocky start. I didn't drink enough of my coffee. Came a little bit more unprepared. Sometimes I'm just forcing that news down your throat. But it's all good. I don't take anything too seriously around here. So you keep brewing up those coffees, Coffee Crew, and we'll keep brewing up magic. So take care, and I will see you guys next time.